I remember a time when I was young and ambitious, but completely lost. I wanted success, I wanted wealth, I wanted to make something of myself. But I spent more time watching others than working on myself. I had a friend, let's call him Tom. Tom was sharp, well-dressed, confident. Everything about him seemed like success. Every time we met, he had a new opportunity, a new business deal, a new way of making money. And me? I was just trying to figure it all out. I'd sit there listening to his stories, wondering, why am I not where he is? What does he know that I don't? Maybe I should try what he's doing. Maybe I should follow his path. And so I did. I jumped into every opportunity Tom talked about. If he said stocks were the key, I tried stocks. If he said real estate was where the money was, I looked into real estate. If he said this business was booming, I chased after it. But after a while, I realized something. Tom was moving forward, and I was standing still. Then one day, I met someone who changed everything. An older gentleman, wise and successful, who looked me straight in the eye and said, "Jim, the problem isn't Tom, the problem is you. You're too busy watching others to build something of your own." That hit me like a ton of bricks. He told me, if you keep chasing every shadow, you'll never find your own light. That was the moment I decided, no more watching, no more chasing, no more wasting time on what everyone else is doing. I was going to focus on myself. And that changed everything. Because here's what I learned. Success is an inside job. It doesn't come from copying others, envying others, or waiting for someone to hand it to you. It comes from working on yourself every single day. So I ask you, how much time have you wasted looking at others, comparing, doubting, hesitating? How much of your energy has been spent watching instead of doing? It's time to change that. It's time to focus on the only person who can make a difference in your life. You. Success is predictable. It's not luck, and it's not magic. It's hard work and discipline. We all know that feeling, the one where you're looking at someone else's success and wondering why they've got it all figured out while you're still trying to piece your own life together. It's that moment when you realize that no matter how hard you try, no matter how many things you chase, you just don't seem to be getting ahead. For me, this moment came when I found myself standing at a crossroads, staring at the lives of those around me and wondering what was so different about them. I spent years looking at others, trying to copy their success, believing that if I just did what they did, I'd get the same results. But that was the trap I fell into. The idea that success is about imitating someone else's journey. You see, watching others can be motivating, but it can also be dangerous. It's easy to fall into the comparison trap, measuring your life against theirs. When you spend too much time focused on what others are doing, you forget about your own potential. You lose sight of your path because you're so busy looking at theirs. I once spent countless hours studying what others were doing. I listened to their advice, followed their strategies, and tried to mirror their moves. But here's what I realized along the way. Their success wasn't meant for me. I wasn't supposed to walk in their footsteps. I was supposed to carve my own path. That's when I had my wake-up call. I remember one morning sitting in my office, reflecting on the years I had wasted trying to replicate someone else's success. I looked back and thought, what have I really achieved? Sure, I had learned a lot. Sure, I had picked up some new skills along the way, but I had neglected the one thing that truly matters in the pursuit of success: myself. I had spent so much time focusing on what others were doing, I had forgotten to ask myself, what do I really want? What am I truly passionate about? What is my vision for my life? I had been playing the comparison game, and all it did was hold me back. In fact, comparison isn't just unproductive, it's dangerous. It can steal your joy and rob you of your focus. It leads you to believe that someone else's success is somehow a reflection of your failure. But that's not true. Success isn't a zero-sum game. Just because someone else is succeeding doesn't mean there's less success available for you. When we constantly look to others, we're missing the most important part of the equation: ourselves. We all have unique strengths, talents, and visions. The key to unlocking your success lies in focusing on those, not in trying to emulate someone else's journey. The moment I realized this was the moment everything changed for me. I stopped looking at others and started looking inward. I started asking myself the hard questions. What do I want? What am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to work for? And when I stopped focusing on what others were doing and started focusing on my own growth, that's when I truly began to see results. Let me ask you this. How much of your time have you spent looking at someone else's life, wondering why they're ahead of you? How often have you allowed their progress to make you question your own? How much energy have you poured into chasing someone else's dream? The truth is, every moment you spend comparing yourself to others is a moment you could have spent building your own future. And I get it. It's tempting to look at someone who seems to have it all together and think, if I just do what they do, I'll get what they have. But that's not how success works. Success comes from within. It comes from identifying who you are, where you're going, and what you're willing to do to get there. Let me be clear. It's not about abandoning inspiration. It's about finding the inspiration that resonates with you. It's about letting other people's successes fuel your own drive, not define your journey. You can learn from others, yes, but you cannot live their life for them. The moment I stopped wasting time watching others was the moment I began to truly live. I embraced my own path, my own rhythm, and my own progress. And that's the moment I stopped feeling frustrated and started feeling empowered. So here's the challenge for you. Stop measuring your life against someone else's. Stop comparing your progress to theirs. Your life is your own, and it's time to take full responsibility for it. You are the only person who has the power to shape your destiny, and if you spend your days watching others, you're not giving yourself the chance to do that. When you finally realize that your journey is yours and yours alone, you'll stop wasting time on others and start investing that time into yourself. That's when the real growth begins. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day. When I look back at my journey, one thing stands out above all else: the importance of self-discipline. It wasn't the flashy opportunities, the instant success, or the overnight breakthroughs that made the difference. No, it was the quiet, consistent decisions I made every single day that laid the foundation for everything that followed. Self-discipline is the secret that many people overlook. It's easy to look at successful people and think that they've somehow discovered a shortcut or been blessed with a gift. But let me tell you something. Success is built on the foundation of small, disciplined actions. Those who succeed don't have magic keys or insider information. They just know how to show up every day, no matter what. I remember a time when I first understood the true power of self-discipline. I was at a crossroads, just like many of you might be now. I had dreams, ambitions, and a desire to build something meaningful, but there was always a gap between what I wanted and what I was actually doing. I'd start things, only to stop when things got tough. I'd have bursts of motivation, but when obstacles appeared, I'd retreat. It was like I was always on the verge of something great, but never quite getting there. And then I had a realization. Self-discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up even when it's hard. It's about doing the little things even when you don't feel like it. It's about making the right decisions even when the wrong ones are easier. I had to teach myself to build habits of consistency even if the results weren't immediately visible. And that's what I did. Little by little, step by step, I began to practice discipline in every area of my life. I started waking up earlier. I started planning my day the night before. I stopped making excuses. I learned to say no to the things that didn't serve my goals and yes to the things that would move me forward. You know what happened? I started seeing results. It wasn't overnight, and it wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. The problem most people face is that they look for instant results. They want the reward before they've done the work. But here's the truth. There's no shortcut to success. The only way to build something worthwhile is through small, disciplined actions every day. It's about consistency, not perfection. Think about it. If you wanted to build a house, you wouldn't just put up a few walls and expect it to stand. You'd start with a solid foundation. You'd dig deep, lay the groundwork, and only then would you build upward. That's exactly how success works. Without self-discipline, your foundation is shaky, and when the storms come, and they will come, you'll be left struggling to hold things together. I remember an old mentor of mine telling me, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. It stuck with me. He wasn't saying anything earth-shattering, but it was a powerful reminder. Discipline is the key that unlocks everything. Without it, all the dreams in the world won't get you anywhere. You need the daily grind, the commitment to keep going when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you don't feel like it. So let me ask you, how disciplined are you with your time? How consistent are you with your goals? Are you taking small, actionable steps every day to move toward the life you want, or are you waiting for the perfect moment that may never come? Here's the thing. It's easy to be motivated when everything is going right. But what about when things aren't going your way? What about when obstacles appear, when the road gets tough, when your energy runs low? That's when self-discipline is most important. That's when it will carry you through. It's easy to start something with excitement. It's easy to launch a new project or make a New Year's resolution, but what separates the dreamers from the achievers is the ability to stick with it, to continue showing up even when the results aren't immediate. Self-discipline isn't flashy, but it's what sets you apart. Self-discipline is about showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's about doing the work, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. And over time, it's those small, disciplined actions that will build the foundation of your success. Let me tell you, the power of self-discipline isn't in the big, dramatic moments. It's in the quiet, consistent choices you make every day. It's about putting in the work when no one is watching, when there's no applause, when there's no external validation. It's about being your own source of motivation. As you move forward, I want you to remember this. Success is the result of small, disciplined actions performed every day. Focus on building your foundation, one small, consistent action at a time. And you'll see that success is not only possible, it's inevitable. And most importantly, never forget, you're not building success for tomorrow, you're building it for today. Every choice you make right now is shaping the future you'll live in. Keep showing up, keep being disciplined, keep working for the life you want. The power is in your hands. Time is the most valuable asset you have. Once it's gone, you can't get it back. I've always believed that the greatest obstacle to success isn't lack of knowledge, resources, or talent. It's the distractions that pull us away from what truly matters. Life is full of them. The constant notifications, the endless demands, the noise of the world. These distractions don't just steal our time. They rob us of our energy, our focus, and our ability to move forward. I know this firsthand. For years, I allowed distractions to rule my life. I'd start the day with the best intentions, but before I knew it, I was sidetracked, caught up in a phone call, a social media scroll, an unnecessary meeting. The next thing I knew, the day was over, and I hadn't moved closer to my goals. And the most frustrating part? I didn't even realize how much time I was wasting until it was too late. It wasn't until I made a conscious decision to eliminate distractions that I started seeing real progress. And it wasn't easy. The world is filled with distractions that feel urgent, but in reality they're trivial. The trick is learning to differentiate between the urgent and the important. And believe me, that's a skill you can't afford to overlook. I remember a time when I was overwhelmed by the sheer number of things I had to do. There was always something that needed my attention. Emails, phone calls, social obligations. And then there were the things I wanted to do. Projects I was passionate about, goals I had set for myself. But every time I sat down to focus, something else seemed to demand my attention. It felt like I was always working but never truly accomplishing anything. It wasn't until I realized something simple yet profound. If I want to achieve anything meaningful, I must eliminate the distractions in my life. The distractions are not just external, they're internal as well. Our own thoughts, doubts, and fears can be just as distracting as anything else. One of the first steps I took was to take a hard look at my environment. I turned off the notifications on my phone. I set boundaries with my time. I stopped letting other people's demands dictate how I spent my day. I created space for focus and deep work, and the difference was staggering. When I reclaimed my time and energy, I found that I was able to accomplish far more in a shorter amount of time. I was no longer running in circles, trying to juggle everything at once. Instead, I was laser-focused on the things that truly mattered. You see, distractions come in many forms, and they often seem harmless. A quick check of social media here, a 5-minute chat with a colleague there, a phone call that leads nowhere. But all of those things add up. They take away from your ability to concentrate, to be productive, and to truly invest in what matters. In my case, I found that social media was one of my biggest time wasters. I'd tell myself, just 5 minutes. But those 5 minutes would turn into an hour, and that hour would turn into a wasted day. I had to learn to set clear boundaries with myself. If I was working, I worked. If I was resting, I rested. But I didn't allow myself to be constantly pulled away by distractions. But it's not just about setting boundaries with the outside world, it's also about setting boundaries with yourself. How often do you get distracted by your own thoughts? How many times have you allowed doubt, fear, or procrastination to prevent you from moving forward? The hardest distractions to eliminate are often the ones that come from within. You can't build anything meaningful if you're constantly distracted. It's like trying to build a house on shifting sand. It will never stand the test of time. You need focus, you need discipline, and most of all, you need to guard your time and energy as if they were your most valuable assets. Because in reality, they are. There's an old saying, what you focus on grows. If you're constantly focusing on the distractions, you're feeding them. But if you focus on what truly matters, your goals, your vision, your future, then that's what will grow. The more you eliminate the distractions, the more room you'll create for success. So I challenge you today to take a long, hard look at your life. What's distracting you? What's pulling you away from your goals? Is it the constant barrage of notifications? The endless cycle of thoughts that leave you paralyzed? The people who demand your time but don't add value to your life? Take control. Reclaim your time and energy. Turn off the distractions and focus on the work that will bring you closer to your dreams. When you do, you'll find that you have more than enough time to achieve everything you want and more. Remember, success isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. It's about eliminating the noise, the distractions, and the unnecessary, and focusing on what will bring you the greatest rewards. Time is the most precious resource you have, and once it's gone forever. So make every moment count. Focus on what matters, and watch as your life begins to transform. The only limit to your impact is your imagination and commitment. There was a time when I believed success was for the few. I thought that some people were born with the right skills, the right circumstances, or the right luck. I was wrong. What I didn't understand back then was that success isn't about being born with something special. It's about developing yourself, expanding your abilities, and constantly pushing yourself to grow. That's what separates the ones who succeed from the ones who don't. This journey began for me the moment I learned about the concept of a growth mindset. Let me tell you, it changed everything. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication, hard work, and learning. It's the realization that failure is not the end. It's an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to get better. Once I embraced this mindset, I could no longer view obstacles as roadblocks. They became stepping stones to something greater. It wasn't always like this. In the beginning, I had a fixed mindset. I thought you either had talent or you didn't. And if I didn't excel at something immediately, I would think, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. But that thinking was flawed. I wasn't failing because I wasn't capable. I was failing because I wasn't willing to grow. I wasn't willing to learn from my mistakes, push through the discomfort, and keep moving forward. You see, a fixed mindset tells you that your abilities are static, that you have only a limited amount of potential, and that there's nothing you can do to change it. A growth mindset, on the other hand, teaches you that you can grow, improve, and achieve anything you set your mind to, as long as you're willing to put in the work. It's a powerful shift, and it's the key to lifelong success. I'll be honest, adopting a growth mindset wasn't easy. It required me to change the way I saw failure. It meant no longer being afraid to try and fail, to make mistakes and learn from them. I had to reframe how I approached challenges. Instead of seeing them as reasons to quit, I started seeing them as opportunities to grow. Think about it. Every time you fall short, every time something doesn't go as planned, it's not a sign that you're not good enough. It's simply a chance to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I do better next time? You don't fail by falling short. You fail by not learning from it and not getting back up. One of the most powerful ways to embrace a growth mindset is to surround yourself with people who believe in growth as much as you do. Find mentors, coaches, or like-minded individuals who push you to be better. The right people will challenge you to think bigger, to step outside of your comfort zone, and to see the world through the lens of possibility. But it's not just about surrounding yourself with others. It's about taking personal responsibility for your own growth. There's no one else who can make you grow. It's your job to do the work, to keep learning, to keep striving for more. The most successful people I know have one thing in common. They never stop growing. Whether it's reading books, attending seminars, learning new skills, or simply taking the time to reflect and improve, they are always committed to personal development. A growth mindset also means embracing challenges rather than avoiding them. It means seeing each obstacle as a test of your resilience and your ability to learn and adapt. It's easy to stay in your comfort zone, to stick with what you know, but true growth happens when you push yourself beyond what's familiar, when you stretch yourself to do things that scare you, that challenge you, that make you feel uncomfortable. I remember a time when I first took on a new project. I felt overwhelmed. There were so many unknowns. I wasn't sure I was ready for it, and I was afraid of failing. But then I remembered, growth comes from challenges. So I leaned into the discomfort. I gave it my all, even when it felt like I was in over my head. And you know what? It wasn't perfect. I made mistakes, but I learned. And that learning made me stronger, more capable, and more confident. That's the beauty of a growth mindset. It transforms challenges into opportunities. When you stop fearing failure and start seeing it as part of the process, you open the door to endless possibilities. You stop limiting yourself based on what you think you're capable of, and you begin to realize that there's no ceiling to what you can achieve. If you want to succeed in the long run, you must embrace this mindset. You must commit to lifelong learning, to constantly evolving, and to never letting yourself plateau. The world is constantly changing, and the people who thrive are the ones who know how to adapt, learn new skills, and embrace new opportunities. I want you to think about this. What's one thing you've been avoiding because you're afraid of failing? What's one area of your life where you've been telling yourself, I can't do this, when in reality it's just that you haven't tried enough or learned enough yet? That's where your growth lies. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be willing to grow. Embrace failure as part of the journey and know that every setback is a setup for a bigger comeback. The moment you commit to growing, your life will transform in ways you can't even imagine. Remember, a growth mindset isn't a one-time decision, it's a way of life. It's the understanding that you are always capable of more, that every challenge is an opportunity, and that as long as you keep learning, growing, and pushing forward, success will be yours. So, choose to grow. Don't just wait for success to come to you. Make the decision to become the best version of yourself, one step at a time. When you do, everything else will follow. The greatest gift you can give to the world is to become the best version of yourself. There's a quiet but powerful truth that often goes unnoticed in our pursuit of success. The ultimate reward is not a trophy, a paycheck, or a recognition from others. The greatest reward is becoming the best version of yourself. All the work, all the discipline, all the sacrifices. It's not just about achieving things or acquiring material possessions. It's about growing into someone who can face life's challenges with confidence, who can give their best to others, and who can live each day with purpose and meaning. When I first started my journey, I was motivated by external goals. I wanted to be successful in business. I wanted financial freedom. I wanted recognition. And while all those things are good, they weren't enough. There was a deeper longing within me, a desire not just to succeed, but to become someone who could truly make a difference. Someone who was growing, evolving, and fully living out their potential. I realized something important. Success isn't just about achieving a destination. It's about the transformation you undergo along the way. It's about becoming someone who can look in the mirror at the end of each day and say, I gave it my best. I grew. I improved. I did what I said I would do. This process of becoming your best self doesn't happen overnight. But with consistent effort, it's the most rewarding journey you'll ever take. In the early years of my journey, I was driven by the desire to prove myself to others. I wanted to show the world that I was capable, that I could succeed, that I could achieve the things I had set my mind to. But what I discovered over time was that success wasn't about proving anything to anyone. It was about proving something to myself. It was about becoming a person who could look back and know that I had given my all, that I had pushed beyond my limits, and that I had truly lived with integrity and purpose. As I began to focus on personal growth rather than external validation, I started seeing the real rewards of the journey. I realized that the more I focused on improving myself, the more my life began to reflect those improvements. My relationships became deeper and more meaningful. My work became more impactful and fulfilling. I felt more connected to my purpose and more aligned with my values. The best version of yourself is not someone who is perfect. It's someone who is continuously striving to improve. Someone who is humble enough to acknowledge their weaknesses and strong enough to work on them. It's someone who understands that success is a lifelong pursuit, and every step of the journey is a chance to grow. This is where true fulfillment lies. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, the rewards are not just external, they are internal. You feel proud of who you are becoming, not because of the things you've accumulated, but because of the person you've become along the way. You begin to see yourself not just as someone who's trying to achieve goals, but as someone who is living with purpose, integrity, and an unrelenting commitment to growth. Let me tell you, that is the ultimate reward. When you become the best version of yourself, you not only change your own life, you change the lives of everyone around you. You become a source of inspiration, a model of what's possible when you commit to growth and self-improvement. People begin to look at you and think, if they can do it, so can I. You become a living testament to the power of consistency, discipline, and the unwavering belief that you can always grow. But here's the thing. The best version of yourself is not some destination you reach. It's a continuous process. Each day is an opportunity to grow a little bit more, to learn a little bit more, and to be a little bit better than you were yesterday. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. And that progress, when compounded over time, leads to extraordinary change. I want you to think about this. What would it look like if you woke up every day with the goal of becoming the best version of yourself? What would it look like if, instead of focusing on external validation or measuring your success by the standards of others, you simply asked yourself, did I grow today? When you make that your focus, everything else falls into place. Your work, your relationships, your health, your finances. They all start to improve because you are no longer chasing after things. You are focused on becoming a person who naturally attracts success, fulfillment, and happiness. But there's a deeper question we must ask ourselves. Why is it so important to become the best version of yourself? The answer lies in the fact that your potential is unlimited. You are capable of far more than you realize. Every single one of us has an extraordinary capacity for growth and transformation. The best version of yourself is not just a goal. It's the key to unlocking all the doors in your life. So, I challenge you today to think about what it means to become the best version of yourself. Look at where you are now, and then imagine where you could be in 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years if you commit to the process of continuous growth. It may not be easy. In fact, it will likely be one of the hardest things you ever do. But I promise you, it will be worth it. You may stumble, you may fall, and you may face setbacks along the way. But keep going, keep growing, because the more you invest in yourself, the more you'll be able to give to the world. And that's where the true reward lies. When you become the person you were always meant to be, and in doing so, you help others become the best versions of themselves as well. So, don't wait. Begin today. Take that first step toward becoming the best version of yourself. The journey won't always be easy, but it will be the most rewarding one you'll ever take. And when you look back at the life you've built, you'll realize that the ultimate reward wasn't the goals you achieved or the success you found. It was the person you became along the way. Remember, the greatest investment you can make is in yourself. No one can take that away from you, and it will pay the highest dividends in every area of your life. As we wrap up today's message, let me leave you with this. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself. It won't happen overnight, but every step you take, every decision you make, every action you follow through on is shaping you into the person you are meant to become. The world needs the best version of you. Not tomorrow, not next year, but today. So stop wasting time watching others and start investing in yourself. Every day is a new opportunity to become better, to grow, and to live a life of meaning and purpose. Stay focused, stay committed, and above all, remember this. Your journey of growth is the greatest gift you can give to the world, and the most rewarding one you can give to yourself. Now, go out and make today count.